Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, a Baxter Professional Services production. Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, where we're experts in nursing and experts in business. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. Today's guest is Amy Madrigal, and today's episode, how one nurse uses her experience to prepare the next generation of caregivers. Tired of feeling trapped in a job that no longer fulfills you? Is your nursing job no longer the fun-filled adventure you imagined? Find your passion again through nurse entrepreneurship. Step out into the light and come feel the sun. Join the Nurse Shark Academy today at thenurseSharkAcademy.biz and come feel the sun. Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. We interview nurse leaders and encourage them to tell their story. My mission is for you to own your seat at the table of nurse entrepreneurship, gaining the confidence, skills, and freedom to live your life on your own terms. You will dream big and expand your consciousness as an entrepreneur. Join us and support these wonderful nurse entrepreneurs and leaders. Today's guest, we have Amy Gonzalez of M&A Academy of Caregiving. Welcome to the show.
Hello. It's Amy Madrigal. My email is
right.
so old. It's okay.
You changed your, you got married, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. And say your last name again?
Madrigal or Madrigal.
Madrigal.
Mm-hmm.
So I write it down. So when I do the promo, I'll have it. So thank you for reminding me, because I just glanced at your email and then I realized I had that in my head, but I forgot. So Amy Madrigal, welcome. So tell me, Amy, a little bit about your nursing background. What made you become a nurse?
So I have a unique story. I had my twins when I was 17. So I was pregnant at 16, and the nurse that I had was so sweet to me. She was non-judgmental, and from honestly that point on, I knew that I wanted to help others. And so by the age of 22, I had my fourth child. So after that, I was like, okay, I need to go to school. I need to do something. My husband encouraged me to, get a career. And I hadn't had any college courses or anything. I took my GED and I took the HESI exam, the entrance exam for the nursing program. I wanted to do the RN, but I didn't have the prereqs for that. So I applied for the LVN program, didn't think I would get accepted. And then lo and behold, in December, I had gotten the email. This was in 2014. I had gotten the email that I was accepted into the LVN program. So I was shocked. So I just knew God had it in his plan for me to become a nurse, because I hadn't, it had been such a long span from 15 to 23, 24. To actually get into the program with just my GED. So I was blessed to apply the first time and get in.
Well, can I just say, for one, congratulations on that, because that's huge. And I want our listeners to hear that. Just because you may not take the traditional route, right? Many of us didn't start out in nursing. We may have started in a different field. We may have had some things that happened in our family life, children, illnesses, taking care of loved ones. We don't know, but you persevered, and you make it sound like you were this old hat by then. But of course, 4 kids later, you probably felt that way. But you were still pretty young. From 15 to 23. Yeah, but you are still pretty young. And I want to say you can start at any time. Don't let your age stop you. If you have that drive and desire, go for it.
I tell people that all the time. They'll be like, oh no, I'm too old. I'm like, you're never too old. So to be honest, I tried a couple of times, doing my prereqs, and I had a hard time with anatomy and physiology. So I did this mistake. I would work night shift when I was at LVN, 10 to 6, My husband would drive me like 35 minutes down the road to the college. I'd go take my A&P class. Well, I failed it with a D. So I had to do it over again until, so that was in 2015. In I was a floor nurse for a year, a charge nurse, and then I moved into administrative nursing. So I did several roles as a LVN in administrative nursing. I did wound care, infection control, and then I decided I really wanted to apply myself and go and try to get into the transition program. So I did, and I got accepted. That's when COVID hit in 2020. So the role that I had of infection control, I mean, you can imagine in long-term care, it was chaotic,
I can.
especially yeah, especially in the position that I was. You had to start COVID testing every week, so it was just a lot. So I had to make the decision to withdraw from the transition program. I was actually in my third semester. I only had one semester to go to graduate as an RN. So I withdrew because I felt like at that time the facility needed me more. And so I did that. Then the year after that, I, talked to my administrator at the time and I told her, I feel like I put my dream of becoming an RN on hold because I knew everyone needed me more at that time. And there was just a lot going on. So I applied and I got in, and I actually came out of my administrative nursing position and went to the floor. And I would work Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, 6 p to 6 a.m. Thursdays were brutal. Getting the clinicals, I wouldn't sleep. I hate saying that, but I wouldn't sleep because I'd go straight from clinicals to work. But I just, I had to do what I needed to do to get through that period. And then I graduated in 2022 as a RN, and I did PACU for a couple months. And my administrator at the time called me, or my previous administrator called me and said, Amy, the DON is stepping down, and I couldn't think of anybody else to ask to take this position but you. I know that you can take that position. So I thought about it for, overnight, and I accepted it. So I've been the director of nursing now for 2 years.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, first of all, I commend you for not giving up, particularly during that COVID period, because I know what it was like. I kept getting phone calls from DONs asking me, did I have gloves? Did I know where they could get hand sanitizer? I was working in psychiatry at the time, so where I still currently work. And I had just left the nursing home setting like in 2017, but I still had a lot of contacts there, and I still came in and do trainings for them. And so I can only imagine what was going on at that time. But I'm glad that you were able to finish and get your degree and become an RN. And then now you've come full circle and come back to working in long term care.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I understand that you've been been the DON for 2 years, and now you're starting your own business. Can you tell me what made you decide to do that?
So I have, since 2016, 2017, I've helped teach the CNA program at the facility where I work at. And then I was a program director. And so I see the gap that everybody has in every setting. It doesn't matter if it's nursing home, home health, hospital. Everybody needs CNAs. So I felt like this was the perfect opportunity for me to take advantage of the skills and knowledge that I already have to make sure that we're producing high quality CNAs. So that, to me, I'm passionate about, letting the students know you're starting here as a CNA, but use this as your stepping stone if that's what you choose to do. Because a lot of them, I feel like they kind of feel down if they start off as a CNA. And I'm like, we need you. Like, y'all are the eyes and ears. Y'all are the first one to see a change in condition, reporting it to the nurse. So I make sure that they know how valuable they are to us nurses. With CNA week coming up, making sure we go all out for them as well.
You, I started out as a CNA, and I admit I find it very refreshing when I talk to nurses who did start as a CNA and or had worked in some sort of capacity with that. Because I, as a CNA, I work with nurses who were, let me just put it, too good to help put somebody on the toilet. And even as a nurse practitioner, that is not me. If somebody needs to be changed and we are there in the room and I've got to look at their bottom anyway for wounds, I said, let's change them. Let's not bother the
Mhm.
CNA. That person's got a lot to do. We're here. Let's do it. It takes less than 5 minutes.
Oh, definitely. Especially, some of the residents, I'll help them and they'll read my name tag and they'll be like, "Oh, how embarrassing. You're the director of nursing." I'm like, that means nothing. I'm here to help you just as much as everybody else. And I mean, actually, one question that I get in particular will be like, "Why do you wear scrubs as a DON?" And I'm like, because if the floor staff needs help, I'm going to get out there and help them. How am I going to get out there and help them if I'm wearing heels and slacks? So I stick to my scrubs. I'm ready to get in there if they need help. I mean, I'm there to assist them.
What I used to call management when I worked in the hospital was the clackety clack brigade. You could always tell them coming by their high heels. You're coming to
No,
the
that's
floor.
not me. I feel like that, everybody has their own way of dressing. That's fine. I just feel like if there's an emergency, I need to be able to get in there and help. So I just stick to that, and there's been several emergencies that I have to jump into, and I wouldn't be effective in heels or slacks. So,
It's interesting because when I worked in long term care, and I came from psychiatry, so I was a psychiatric nurse, and then I became a nurse practitioner and working in long term care. I would always wear scrubs because I didn't know if I was going to be on the floor to look at feet or nasty wounds or whatever as a nurse practitioner. And I just remember being there one day, and I had a resident wave me down, frantic because she had to go to the bathroom, and everybody was feeding dinner. And I said, well, I can help you get on the toilet, but I'll let the nurse know to come get you off. So I got her onto the toilet because she was trying to get not just staff, but she was going after other residents and their families. She was like, I
family
was
members.
desperate. So I said, I'll just put her on the toilet. And I did, and got her situated and put her on there, gave her the call light, and did all the stuff I did. And I went and told the nurse, now she's in the bathroom because this is what was going to happen. And I was afraid she was going to take herself and fall.
Mm-hmm. And that
And
is what happened.
yes. And so I had another resident that I was helping to change her, and she had a horrible sore in her bottom, and she was needed cleaning up. And so I just like, well, we're here, let's just clean her up so I can see, because I've got to clean her up anyway. I can't see the wound. And she's just bawling. She's like, you don't need to see this. And I'm like, I'm still a nurse, right? It still says nurse, right? And so I was able
Hmm.
to talk her out of that. And I think what people don't understand is that although we have a title, we're still nurses. We're still nurses, and we're still going to act accordingly.
Oh yeah, I will never not help anyone that needs my help. I mean, I'm still a nurse at the end of the day, so.
Okay. Now, I know your business is fairly new, and I know you're going through the regulatory process for your state, which is Texas, by the way, if anybody's interested. So tell me, what has that process been like for you trying to start this business?
So thankfully, thankfully, with being the program director, I'm familiar with the HHSC application and renewal and that, and how to submit students. So what I did was, since I knew I was going to be embarking on this new adventure, I removed myself as the program director on the NATCEP. Um, so I put my assistant director of nursing as the director. That way I could be listed as just instructor for the facility. And so I applied through HHSC. I felt like that application was fairly easy. Got approved maybe a week or two later. And then now I'm working on the Texas Workforce Commission. And that one is a little bit more daunting just because of the amount of paperwork you have to send in: catalogs, policies, procedures, attendance, rosters. So you want to make sure you send in everything at one time so you're not getting it sent back to you. So that part has been uh, it's a little scary. I haven't submitted that yet because you also have to have a um, financial statement of stability. So you have to work with a CPA that's licensed in that state. So I am working with somebody. I'm just waiting on some statements to send over to her and then send everything over to the Workforce Commission. And I think they usually, it says they take about 90 days to get back to you. But I've talked to other school owners and they say it doesn't take them that long.
Well, that's good. So you're moving right along, and so you're in Angleton, Texas. In case anybody's listening from Texas and you want to know how to get into CNA training, to look you up when you're ready, because you'll be open before long. I'm quite sure. I'm quite
Yeah,
sure.
I'm aiming for September if all goes well. If not, October's fine. I was blessed to find a location. So there's a church here that owns office spaces, and it was a great price. They worked with me, and getting your office space, you need to make sure you're getting your commercial insurance that covers the property itself. It covers you because you're teaching people. So somebody can do something outrageous and say, well, she taught me this way. So you want to make sure you have insurance for yourself so you're not getting sued. So, thankfully, Texas has the curriculum already built, so I don't have to worry about that part. And I've taught several classes, so it's just making sure you're effectively teaching each student because everybody has their own learning styles.
That's very important and true. And as a CNA instructor myself, I can definitely say having different ways of instructing. So maybe some people prefer to hear it, audio lecture. Others
Mhm.
may rather have a video, or other people need that hands on for it to click for them. So, and putting all those things in there is very important. And so, what's been your biggest hurdle as you start this journey with entrepreneurship? What's been your biggest hurdle as far as your mindset and becoming an entrepreneur?
I think the fear of failure. You have to get out of that because it's scary, right? You're in your comfort zone, like, and I'm still going to be doing my full-time job until I can get to a point where, if not if, it will flourish. And then that's my end goal. My vision is to have multiple locations. So that's the point I want to get to. But I think it's the fear of failure. So I had, when I first started in January, I told my husband, okay, January is my month of research. February will be my month of action. So then my research dragged a little bit into February. And then I was like, okay, I've got to start looking into all this. But I feel like I've been keeping a good pace and networking with people that have gone through this process. They're more than willing to help. I mean, YouTube videos, just reaching out to people on LinkedIn, they're more than willing to help. And I think the other thing is to bootstrapping this because I really don't want to take out loans. So you just have to take into consideration what your startup cost is going to be and know that that cost is not going to be every month. It's just, one time. The Workforce Commission, I feel like their process is a little pricey. It's about $1,400 for the application, but it's a one-time fee. So, and then your insurance. So just, I've been picking up some shifts to try to not get into debt opening this.
And that's important to hear, because I think a lot of nurses forget that they have the capacity to help fund their own dream. We all know how to pick up a shift, to purchase the car, to pay the house note, to do the things. So why not pick up that extra shift and invest that money into your own entrepreneur dream? And I applaud people who can do that. Now there are some that may have funding, and that's great too. But not everybody has that available. But you mentioned something very important, and that's having a budget and understanding what your startup costs are going to be. This is where I see a lot of people, and when they're starting their business, forget to do that. Look at that and see what their startup costs will be and how you can work towards that. When we started our CNA school, one of the things we did is we went to some flea markets and found equipment. uh, Amazon, we got equipment there. We also got equipment from donated to us from the hospital. Our first set of linens came from the hospital. The hospital had this deal where they got rid of their old linens, and you could get a sack of linens for like $1. And so we got all the linens we needed for our school that way. So look at those relationships and partnerships that you've developed over the years, and find out if they're throwing away old equipment. You'll be surprised. Nursing homes do it too. They'll say, "Oh, we're getting rid of our old hospital beds and we're getting new beds in." Well, instead of having them throw them out or send them to the dump, see if they can donate it to your school.
And that's one thing I did. So I started reaching out to
Seems we have a little bit of a lag or a technical difficulty.
sorry. So I did reach out to community colleges, and I think it's a liability thing. They auction them off. So I was like, okay, well then I won't go that route. And actually, my activity director was like, you need to look at eBay. And I was obviously a little like, I don't want to order through eBay. And I ordered a mannequin for like $250 with the interchangeable parts and really good quality. So I'll be ordering another one. And then actually, the facility gave me two beds because they're changing out to electric beds. So they're crank beds. So I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
purchase that. It's just finding ways to reduce your costs and using the, like you said, partnerships that I already have. So I reached out to our McKesson supply manager, and I was like, this, I'm going to be doing this business. Is there a way that I can open an account so I can be ordering my supplies through you? It set me up an account, and I'll be able to order through there.
And yeah, that's important. And I don't think people think about those with those vendors that you need to get in contact with, and all those different things when you're starting up your business is very important. Okay, so lastly, our last question is, if you were
Can
to
I add
have,
one more thing on that though?
sure, go ahead.
So after like 2 months of me doing all this research on my own, reach out to your local community colleges. They should have small business development centers, and it's free. And you sit down with an advisor, and they make sure you have everything going on the right track. Things that I didn't know I needed, they make sure they have this list for you, and you can meet with them. So that's been a great asset, and it's free.
And that's wonderful. And yes, when we started our business, we used SCORE. We met with them, and that's a free program too. Then they work with the SBA, the Small Business Administration.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, our last question is, if you had a piece of advice to give to a budding entrepreneur, what would it be?
Advice that I would give is I think you should look at all the skills and knowledge that you're already offering the company that you work for, and why not be able to use that for yourself to do a business. And it is scary in the beginning, but you're going to have that freedom in the long run to do what you want to do and help out others where you see the gap is. You already know the problems that are going on. You have the solutions with the skills and knowledge that you have. So I'd say just go for it.
All right. Okay. Now, how would our listeners get in touch with you if they wanted to meet with you or to ask you more questions?
So they can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Amy Madrigal, or I have an email too, info at academyofcaregiving.com. Those are the two ways that they can reach out to me. And I'd love
Okay.
to talk with anyone.
Great. We'll definitely have that information in our show notes. I want to thank everyone for listening and joining us here at the Nurse Shark Academy show. Please, if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when all of our episodes are uploaded. Also, if you're following us from Podbean or wherever you get your audio podcasts, don't forget to leave us a like and a comment. We appreciate you supporting our show. And don't forget that those that are patrons, we do have special content that's available for our patrons only of our show. And you can become a patron by going to podbean.com and looking for our show. All right. Thank you. That's all we have for today. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me on.
Hey, before you go, exciting news about the Nurse Shark Academy show. The Nurse Shark Academy show has been nominated for a Women in Podcasting Award, so please vote for me. We are nominated in the business category. So go ahead and cast your vote for us for the Women in Business Podcast Award for the Nurse Shark Academy show, and you can vote for us at www.thenurssharkacademy.biz/podcast awards. Thank you for listening to the Nurse Shark Academy show wherever you get your podcasts or watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll know when all of our episodes come out. If you want further information, you can contact us on the nurssharkacademy.biz.